It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What is up, heroes of Dominion? My name is Charlie. This is Hero Wars Central, and in today's video, we're going to talk about which heroes to level up with the Hero of the Week, Faceless. Now, I say that because, Faceless was the hero for the mobile platform of the game not too long ago. He's easily purchased from the friendship or highwayman vendor. So I don't know that I would invest a ton of resources into this event. However, it's still worth talking about heroes to level up with him. Now, before we go anywhere with this, and I am absolutely on the wrong account because I don't have all my heroes unlocked on this server. Before we go too far into this, we're not going to talk about Kark. One of the most iconic teams in all of Hero Wars is a Kark team, and most or some Kark teams, I should say, use the Faceless, and you can not find many more iconic duos than these two heroes right here, Kark Faceless. And I've done videos on why they're good together. That is one use for Faceless. But let's talk about Faceless's strengths and weaknesses and how we can accentuate those using other heroes. So obviously we know that Faceless does his doppelganger ability. A couple of things to mention about that ability is that it copies the skill but not the stats. So if it copies a hero with a critical hit ultimate, Faceless doesn't have any critical hit natively. So you need a way to give Faceless critical hit in order for that skill to be effective. If you want to copy a hero with a high physical attack, like Kira or Ching Mao, keep in mind that Faceless's physical attack is okay. It's on the low end, but it is there. So your results are going to be a lot weaker than if you have Faceless copy a mage hero. Mage attacks using magical attack, magic penetration. The thing about Faceless is he's got pretty decent magic attack. He's not great magic attack, but it's okay. And his artifact provides magic penetration. So if you're not going to pair him with Kark, and the reason why Faceless and Kark work so well together is because Kark's ultimate doesn't actually do any damage and thus doesn't require physical attack or armor penetration. You want to pair Faceless with maybe some mages that do good damage and that have easy to copy abilities. So you can go a lot of different directions with this, a lot of different directions. Maybe you want to use him instead of Orion in a Dorian Orion Helios team. Going to be kind of weird to do it this way, but one of the weaknesses of Helios is he doesn't have magic penetration. Faceless provides magic penetration. You could go that route. You could absolutely go that route. It's different. It's different. It's not the best, but it's different. It's probably better to use Orion in this case, but you could. Okay. Other mages that you could see pairing with Faceless would be, Leon's a pretty solid control, very good anti-area of effects, pretty good, in the right situations. Absolutely. There are a couple other mages, maybe like Maya. I don't know. There's a few, but the one that I probably would not pair Faceless with, and I see this a lot, and I get it. I totally get it. Faceless adds magic penetration. Satori does magic damage. Faceless copies. So here's the issue I see with this team and why I don't recommend it, even though I see it a ton. Satori's ultimate is based on building up Foxfire marks on the enemy targets. Okay? Whenever Satori uses his ultimate, all of the Foxfire marks are used up. He does a ton of damage to a single target like a Jorgen or Orion or whoever, and then all of those Foxfire marks are cleaned up. If you use Faceless right after to duplicate Satori's ability, then it does do some damage, but it doesn't do as much because there's not hardly any Foxfire marks on there. Now, you could wait until Foxfire marks build up on another hero and then use Faceless, but then you're running the risk of duplicating another hero because you can't. The only way you can control Faceless's ultimate is if you're in manual mode, and it copies the last ultimate skill that can be copied. So if you use Satori and then 30 seconds later you use Faceless, there's a good chance you're going to be copying somebody else's. Furthermore, you want to use Faceless before Satori, right? You want Faceless's ultimate to activate before Satori's because Faceless's ultimate is what provides Satori with that magic penetration. So this is an odd pairing that I do not recommend. I actually do not recommend. Kai could be good. If you're not using a Kark team, then you can throw these two together and make a team out of that. But let's start from the front. Aurora is a magic attack tank. benefits greatly from magic penetration. You could use Aurora. You could use Astaroth. Astaroth's skills use magic attack, and some magic penetration will help with Astaroth. The one tank that I absolutely would not recommend using would be Luther. Imagine this: your Luther jumps over to the other team, does what he does, then your Faceless jumps to the other side because he just copied your Luther. Maybe it was an accident that he copied a Luther. Maybe it was bad timing. I don't know. But now your Faceless is stuck in the middle of the other team without all of the tanking stats. Because remember, Faceless copies the skill, not the stats. Okay. Furthermore, let's talk about Faceless's other skills. He's got a uppercut, which will push the tank back. And the enemy tank being pushed back and pushed to the center will reset your team. So if you have a stunned tank, or if you're going up against a cleaver that has grouped up enemies, or any number of other things, a Lars that's moved you guys around, Faceless will allow your team to reset back to its original position. Faceless also has a nice small area of effect damage, and he also has a passive magic defense for your team. So Faceless is pretty good subbed in against magic attack teams like the Twins or ODH to protect your team a little bit. You want to be careful on how you use them. Maybe in those teams you try specifically to duplicate Thea's ability. Maybe you want to duplicate your other hero, be it Dorian or Martha. But you want to be careful with that. You want to be careful with that. So let's stick with Aurora here, and another fun mage that would be nice to counter. Nice to duplicate with Celeste would be. Another nice mage that would be fun to duplicate with Faceless is Celeste. Now, Celeste does some damage and debuff prevention, but she also does some healing as well. She blocks enemy healing. She's an all-around strong, effective hero. Pairing these two together are pretty fantastic. They're pretty fantastic. It's on the slower side of control and killing your enemy team. Obviously, having Kark or another damage dealer in place of Celeste is much more ideal. But just to kind of catch us up a little bit, let's use Nebula in place here. Let's use Nebula. And because I also want to continue the theme of using a mage, let's use Leon. Now, this is very similar to one of the Aurora teams that I really fell in love with. Mira Kuhns, I believe his name is, referred this team to me on Facebook a little while ago. And ever since the Dodge energy change and the addition of Kane as a pet, this team has been incredibly strong. You don't have to use Nebula here. You could use any number of other support heroes. You could absolutely use Jorgen, and I believe this is the original team. You could use Sebastian against the Twins, but we're going to start off with this, as this is probably the highest damage output with the most amount of variance and the least amount of wasted skills. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this team. Let's do some max testing with this team against the top 5 arena defenders on my server. Let's do it. Okay, so now we have the top 5 defending arena teams on my main server, and again, this is max testing on Facebook. So if you're on mobile, your results may definitely vary. This does not include pets, which I do know is an integral part of team fighting, especially here on Facebook. Let's see how our Faceless team does. So obviously we're going to start with Aurora and Faceless. We're going to use Nebula and Leon and who was my Celeste. So we're going to start with this team. Personally, I think that this team is going to be kind of effective against the opponent, given that Yasmin is going to be put to sleep hopefully every time she attacks. Same with Ju and same with Galahad. So let's see how it goes. I'm actually not sure how to counter this if not with this team. We'll try a different variant. So the thing about Galahad is he's a liability, and while initially I would throw in Jorgen against this team, I wanted to use this variant instead. It's a variant that I've been wanting to try out, and you can see here making short work of the enemy's team. Very strong. We did not lose a single hero. Celeste doing the majority of the damage, Faceless coming in second. Leon doing her job, basically keeping Ju out of the fight, out of commission for most of the battle. Very strong showing so far. James goes down in 1. Better luck next time, James. So Anders,
in second position. He's using a Galahad, Andy, Kira team. A lot of healing on the back end, I guess, to protect themselves a little bit better. Aurora, Faceless, Nebula, Celeste, Leon. And again, this variant, we might have a better time against Galahad and Anvari teams using Jorgen in the middle. But I didn't want to use Jorgen in this fight. I want to keep trying it without. If I need to try Jorgen, I will. But this team should also be easily countered by my team. Kira is pretty effectively countered by my Leon. I don't have anybody that really is disrupted by Anvari. Galahad is going to do a lot of area of effect damage, and hopefully the amount of healing that I have will keep up. Let's see how we do. Go ahead and speed this up. You see Kira is put to sleep every time she does a basic attack, which dramatically lowers her damage output. Once Galahad goes down, they'll effectively have no more damage. But I don't know. Well, we're going to be fine. Maybe we won't be fine. Okay. Anvari doing some work. Look at him crushing my team. Crushing my team. Leon putting up a nice little showing here at the end, but it's just not good enough. So let's try the Jorgen variants. I was afraid of having to do that. So another variant that we can use is the Jorgen variants. And the reason why you would use Jorgen, number of reasons why. But the main reason why is to basically shut down the enemy Galahad. Now, with this team setup, we have Leon countering the Kira. We have Jorgen countering the enemy Galahad. Hopefully we can kill that Galahad quick enough that we can take care of that Anvari. But that Anvari is giving us fits. So let's see what's going on with this team here. We don't have any pushback or knockup. You can see Kira is continually being put to sleep. Jorgen's close. Jorgen is dead. My Faceless copied the enemy Kira's ability. Let's see if we have enough. Without our Celeste, the healing output of Martha is pretty high. But you can see just adding in Jorgen into this team in place of Nebula is all it took. We did end up losing our Celeste, which might become a problem later on. You'll see in a couple of these teams later on that have high healing. We might have trouble with those. But you can see here Aurora doing the bulk of the damage. Nice showing. So we were able to defeat Anders in 2 attacks. So let's try Yamas here. Okay. Faceless, Aurora, Nebula, Leon, and Celeste. Let's go. Very similar to Team 2. We're probably going to end up needing to switch to the Jorgen variant, but without a Martha in the back, we'll probably have a much easier time wearing down this team. You can see without our own Jorgen, the enemy Galahad is able to stay up pretty effectively, kind of going, continuing to show, how a single hero can counter a team. And you can see that we're gonna lose this team, so we're gonna go ahead and cancel that. So let's go back in. Instead of using Nebula here, we're gonna use Jorgen to counter the enemy Galahad. Let's see. Lost my train of thought. Celeste. We have Celeste. Oh, Faceless. Faceless is in there. Oh, Leon. I'm missing Leon. So now this team's even more built to counter that team. We have, again, Leon putting Kira to sleep constantly. We have Jorgen shutting down Galahad in front. The enemy Cornelius crushes my Celeste. The Celeste always dies. Do we have enough damage output with these 3 to finish off? Yeah, we probably do. Cornelius by himself doesn't have much defense. However, we don't have much offense. Do we have enough time? Yeah, we do. And so we are able to defeat that team in 2. It showed up. Faceless coming in clutch there. Nice. Team 4, Polio. We got an Anvari tank team with Elmir. Going to be a lot of fun. Ideally, we're going to see the power of dodge. We're going to see the power of dodge between Nebula and Aurora. Let's see how this goes. No debuffs to take off. The issue is the opponent's Sebastian. So we have to kill this team kind of differently. Leon's going to be basically ineffective against this opponent. And we're going to have trouble with this. We are going to have trouble with this. So since Sebastian is in the back, what we're going to do is we're going to throw in Jorgen again. And I'm starting to think that Jorgen is just a better version of this instead of Nebula. So maybe we just swap to that and keep Nebula out, unless we're trying something different. But I think Jorgen might be the better variant. Hopefully we can do enough damage to Sebastian in the back that it's not gonna he won't be as effective. The problem is Sebastian keeps that team up long enough. We got Leon versus Sebastian, and Leon comes out on top, just barely winning. In fact, I would imagine if we did that fight 3 or 4 more times, the enemy's team here would prevail more often than not. But I was able to squeak through using Jorgen to force a lot of the basic attack damage back onto Sebastian, and it was just too much to handle. Once Elmer jumped back, it was all over. So finally, J-Bat Masterson, Team 5. He's using a Cleaver team. Cleaver is particularly ineffective against Leon. Unless Leon is stunned or otherwise incapacitated, Cleaver will not be able to use his hook at all. Now, the issue that we're going to have here is Kark does a lot of damage. Sebastian's going to block my debuffs, so I won't be able to put enemies to sleep that frequently. So having Sebastian on that enemy team is going to allow Cleaver's hook to work. My Nebula's down. Their enemy, okay, well, looks like we have a strong chance here, considering that their front 4 fell over so quickly. I'm not sure how that happened, but here we are. J-Bat Masterson down in 1. Leon, the star of the show, doing 1 million damage. So this isn't an exciting team. It's not an exciting team, but it gets the job done. It's very strong in tower. It's very safe in tower, very safe in the campaign. I like this team a lot. This is the team that I'm building on my second Facebook account. So don't forget that I do live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That includes today. I'll be live streaming in the next hour and a half or so. I hope to see you there. I love you all. Good luck in Dominion.